Okay, all right. Niaje kila mtu na welcome back to Tuko Freshy. Of course, this is one program tumekuwa tukifanya from one community to another. Of course, with our good friends, Center for Multi-Party Democracy. Pia walikuwa wanafanya sessions inaitwa Gumzo Mtaani. So tumekam pamoja ku have this conversation. We've been in Buruburu, Kawangware, Kariobangi, na leo we are back to Kibra. Watu wa Kibra mambo vipi?
Tuko fresh.
Watu wa Kibra mambo vipi?
Tuko fresh.
Tuko fresh, si ndio? Yeah, so we are back to Kibra because, I mean, this is one area that inakuwa very interesting and one place yenye pia huwa ina determine kabisa direction ya the country inaenda wapi, especially on issues of politics. We've seen how things have been playing out, but today we are here to have a very interesting conversation once more. Today we want to ask ourselves, even just anyone mwenye amekaa hapa hivi ndani, ama hata tu mwenye na watch, regardless ya penye huko, how many times across the week do you get a call from a friend anakuambia nitumie 20 bob ama nitumie 50 bob nataka kubai sapa ama bro amekuwa mama sizi yangu wako shule ama I mean how many times do you get this? Do people ever get this kind of messages? Na sometimes ukiangalia hizo messages they are very genuine, si ndio? Ni ukweli imefika point yenye someone aiza atanunua chapo ya 20 bob. Mtu aiza hata achana na sukari. Imefika point hata sukari ni kama sasa siku hizi ni kitu ni more of luxury. Mtu azinunua chapo, the basic thing inauzwa na wewe mama chapo mwenye tunaambiwa mboga tu kitu ya 20 bob 30 bob kwa barabara watu hawezi afford. That is the conversation we want to have. How accessible, how affordable is food to Kenyans and especially young people living in Nairobi today? But before that, acha tukaribishwe Kibra na wenye Kibra wenyewe. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Okoth Pondo. Before that, my name is Feni Ogembo and I'm the president of Girls and Young Women's Movement in Kenya. And I'm happy that the discussion is home and the young people in here are going to give us some of the challenges. And it might look minor, Opondo, it might look shoddy, but trust you me, they're the real things that we are going through in the ground. When you say chapati is 20 bob, Opondo chapati ni 30 bob sahi, imagine.
Najua, niko na plug, najua penye bado unaweza pata 20. Unajua, inaendanga tu size ndio ina change. Ni size tu ina change haya.
Size ndio ina change. So I think these are some of the things that are affecting us as young people. And I believe that today, we would actually dive deep because I believe that the discussion that we're having here is a precursor to something bigger, Opondo. And I believe that the discussions or the conversations that the young people are going to have today hazitaishi hapa kwa mtaa, but we will also be represented somewhere else because when we bring our voices in the spaces where policies or the bigger people in the room sit, I think it is even a better voice to be heard and it's a better place of having solutions in as much as tunakuja nazo hapa kwa ground, but it's ni vizuri wajue these things are happening and the young people are actually even making strides and making steps for them to make a better change in their place where they live in. But feel welcomed in Kibera. Please, when we hear Kibera is a peaceful place. Ama niaje wase?
That is the question that I wanted
Kibera
to ask. Unajua, kuna these incidences, sometimes unachukua Uber. Nani ashai kwa maybe umekuwa matao, then unataka kurequest gari kukuja huku usiku. Jamaa anakuambia, anaweza tu fika Prestige mwisho. So there's this imagination that Kibera ni place ukifika ni watu wanarushananga tu mawe. I mean, leo tumekaa hapa hivi tuko area za Olympic and the conversation is real. Hakuna hata cha vita, si ndio? So hizi stories zote, when we went to Kariobangi, that's the same thing that we were told. Watu wakisikia Kariobangi unasikianga tu Kariobangi ukitembea shika mfuko sijui kaje. These are now conversations that sisi tu young people ndio tunaweza toa. But anyway, karibuni sana Kibra. Or someone maybe mtu wa Kibra mwingine, a gentleman's voice. What do you like about Kibra? Why should we like Kibra?
Yenye kwa majina ni Isaiah Otieno. Mimi kenye nizawaambia hapa about Kibra ni ukweli hapa hivi kuko safe na ile mentality umekuja na mentality tunaambiwa ati Kibera watu ni wezi, Kibera watu ni wachokozi. Mimi ndakwambia okay, ukitembea hapo hivyo utaona different kind of people as in mapikipiki nini au ni wasenyo wana hustle ndo wapate kitu. So hiyo isikushtua ati hivyo ndo venye watu wako. Kila msako na mali yake ya kupata kitu. So hata huyo mama mboga ako hapo hivyo nje atawaka hadi around saa 5:30 hapo. Anajua hapo male ameka kioski yake ni safe. So mimi ndakwambia kuko safe.
Asante sana, tuko safe. Ndio tuji appreciate kwanza for creating time to be here. Straight to the conversation. I want you just to tell any 2 or 3 people hapa waniambie, what are some of the saddest experiences of late zenye umesikia just about people complaining the cost of food in Kenya vile iko saizi? A phone call that you got or just a friend engaging in a conversation na ukasikia tu story yako ukasema nyewe things are serious. So that tujue kama hii conversation ni conversation ya maana ama tuachane nayo. Any incidences? Yes.
Okay, so yesterday, we were at Karura, and then with my friend, we got tumeenda kuhike, and then her cousin calls her Akilia. She's 2 incidents zimemfanyikia at the same time. So first, like the famous matatu stories of unalipa na simu and then conductor anakuambia mlango haijafungwa vizuri, umeangusha simu, unaachwa hapo. And then ameachwa hapo, it's 5 a.m. in the morning, she's supposed to get to work by 6, hana simu. So there are people going for morning run. Anajaribu, like one of them tries to talk to her, kumbe ni mwizi tena. So like again, she's assaulted by some 2 people. So fortunately, because like they had weapons, like one of them even had a knife, but sa kuangalia bag yake hana kitu yoyote. So like wanajaribu kumwambia tupe pesa. So like people come, people now start coming. Ndio sasa wana trying to get what is happening. Wanawambia ati now the ones who are assaulting her, si tulikuwa tu tunataka pesa ya food, like hatuna issue na ye, like we just wanted money, that's all we want. So yeah.
That smile tells something, Chinaman.
Upondo, I didn't want to say anything, but from that conversation, it's funny somebody who has the energy for a morning run na another food. You know, and
unashindwa hii nguvu ni ya shetani ama ni nguvu za kiume zinakimbiza jamaa nje.
And it's honestly not a joke. Me personally, I receive a lot of messages every often. The fact that I ran for office, people still see me as a very loaded young person who can solve problems. And I receive a lot of problems. Sijakula siku 3 bro, ukiniokolea hapo hata tu chwani. Like 50, and at times I even have to negotiate. Somebody asks me for 200, namwambia sina, bro hata 100 sina. 50 bro, sina. So it means it's very serious when it comes to food. And every other time I walk into the slums, and I find it very difficult because nowadays hata vijana waniambiagi tu nitolee form. That was a language before, but then now is bro hata ukiniingiza tu hapo nilie tu lunch, niko sawa. That is just how angry the Kenyan person is now, and it's a very perturbing situation.
Okay. Well, the story of M-Pesa imenikumbusha mbali sana. There's a time niliambia jamaa sina pesa. Ambia niko na around 27-30 bob kwa simu, akaniambia nitumie hiyo nitatoa nayo yenye mtu atanitumia baadaye. Yani nikasema kwani yani unajua tulianzia 100 ikashuka 80 50, nikamwambia acha nikwambie ukweli niko na 27 shilling. Nitumie tu hiyo nitatoa nayo yenye mtu atanitumia baadaye. Nikasema we huyu naye sasa amenigeuza hii ni job, ndio. Any other experiences, the messages that you get every day from people sharing, telling you about how tough things are?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Lokwe. Na pia mimi nimekuwa nikipata messages from marafiki zangu, na there was an incident which happened. I have a friend in Mombasa, and you know, mtu akiishi Mombasa, it's like unafikiria Mombasa ni raha. Na ako shule and no one is supporting him. Like yeye ndo anajilipia fee, analipia rent ya hostel anaishi, and it is really hard haswa kwa mwanaume kukua kwa hali kaa hiyo. So there was a time last week around saa 4, jamaa ananipigia simu, ananiambia I am in a tight spot, I just need 100 shillings at least nilipe mama mboga, hapa amekataa kuniachilia. So I had to get something for him because
alikuwa amenunua mboga then sasa.
Okay, amekuwa akichukua mboga hapo kwa hiyo mama mboga, but sasa imefika 100 bob, mama mboga anamwambia sasa hapa sikuachili leo because tomorrow nitaenda kuchukua mboga na nini. So I had to send something for him. Yeah, na as well as kuna wakati pia nilikuwa hapa Kibra, just walking kwa streets, I met a friend of mine nimesoma naye Olympic High School and he was like, niaje kiongozi, at least nibaie kitu nikule, I'm hungry. It was around 10 in the morning. If you look some jamaa kwa midomo imekauka, so you look at somebody and unamwonea huruma because chakula si mchezo. Kauja hii si njaa, things or matters about food is very serious. Yes.
Okay, so
Okay, my experience is not from people I know. The first one was from a student within Nairobi. Alini inbox kwa Snapchat. Sikuwa namjua. So just someone randomly inboxed me and was like, hi. And then I replied. And then akasema, I know you don't know me, but unaweza nitumia 50 bob akinakufa njaa. And then I was like, kwani wewe ni nani? Ndo akaniambia he's a student in one of the universities here in Nairobi and it's not easy for him. And then the next experience was siku moja nilikuwa nimekaa hapo railways and this person comes and sits beside me. I think ni one of the street guys. And then he didn't ask me for money or food or anything. He just sat there. And then akaanza kuni-engage in stories. So from the stories akanipatia life experience yake, mbona ako hapo kwa streets and how it's hard. And then anasema enyewe siku hizi like most of watu wenye wako kwa street they are doing it as a job and people get something good out of it. And you find that mtu atatafuta watu mahali awalete hapo, watafute pesa. At the end of the day they come back and take the guys and collect the money and then mnapata your fair share of the deal. Yeah, alikuwa ananiambia of course yeye pia ako kwa streets but yeye alikuwa ananiambia the reasons why amejipata in that situation. Yeah, and
kuna recruit mchape job pamoja. Okay, kuna point ametaja hapo hivyo very important na maybe tuiguzie kidogo. Hii mambo ya universities, kwani how bad is it in the campuses? Public universities, watu wa private sisi tunawaelewa, kuna watu walisema wako they have cards, they can just access food whenever they want, but how bad is it in the public universities kwani? Maybe are we able just to speak about this kidora kama ni 10 minutes so hapa hivi. How bad is it in the campuses affording food or getting some good food? Any experiences hapa?
My name is Kimberly. So mine is not a personal experience, but I have a friend, ako JKUAT. And there was this time we were just hanging out at home. And then now, I don't know where the conversation ilianza. But then sasa akaanza kuniambia how like ilikuwa mimi ya kuinama. So nilikuwa namuuliza, hii kuinama inamaanisha nini? Me get. Kuinama ni nini literally? So akaanza kuniambia, well, you don't know, let me explain to you. So akaanza kunishow ati most of the time hana pesa at all ya kununua food, whether it's breakfast, lunch or like ya usiku, hana at all. Like inafika point anaangalia like anaangalia to ceiling because hana pesa at all. Then sasa mimi nikamuuliza, kwani hamna student center like pali mtapata chakula? Anasema ati yeah, there's something like that, but the money is the problem. To a point where I started questioning, why is it that now you have you're a student in university, ulikuwa sema alistoka public primary school because public primary school pia kuna shida ya food, like hawapei adequate food. When the secondary the same experience, then when the university the same experience. Like nilikuwa namwangalia tu, have you ever felt sad for someone? Namwangalia tu unachoka, uko like wow, so how are you literally surviving in that system? Baka akasema kitu it really triggered me. Alikuwa like, if this is what my country is like, ata heri tu nikimaliza my university mimi nijitafutie wera Qatar or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so sawa. Still on the question, how bad is it in the public universities, especially the public? Na pia of course kuna private zingine. Unajua Kenya kuna private na kuna tu private zingine tunajua wanahangaika tu kama public universities
Opodo, I went to a public university. And one of the biggest complaints that has existed about public institutions is underfunding. I think in my younger days, like as a child, our university students were the most lucky people because there was enough funding to institutions, and so the feeding programs, even in the canteens, was well subsidized by the school because the school had enough funding. But then the situation now is the schools have to outsource, like give tenders for people to supply food and even the food services in their school canteens, which then becomes business. It is no longer about the welfare of the students, but business for the person who's been given the tender. And so they have to sell and make a kill and of course go home. So this has left the students in a very, very dire situation because most students in public universities, tukubali tukatae, are students from disadvantaged backgrounds. So the parent has even maybe struggled to pay that fee hata kama umeingia pale on a government sponsored course. You're supposed to maybe just pay 32,000 a year, but your parent has already struggled to pay that and even gone an extra mile and struggled hard to pay for the hostels. So ukianza kumwambia mambo ya pocket money sijui nini, kwake hiyo sasa ni non issue kabisa, like hata hawezi kusikiza unaongelelea nini sasa. Mimi na struggle venye nda raise your next semester's fees ama venye nitakupea pesa nyingi kila saa unakaa like mfalme shuleni. So that is the situation. Because of that nature of underfunding these institutions, you will see the staffs striking, the lecturers are always wanting to strike, and so there is no resources that ya kufikiria of a proper feeding program.
Let me ask you, how much is food in the university where you are?
So I went to the Technical University of Kenya. And at the Technical University of Kenya, when I was there as a student, I left Technical University of Kenya in 2019 when I finished my course. At that time, we had the student center and the school canteen. In the school canteen, the cheapest of food you could get was 50 shillings. And 50 shillings will buy you one chapati and a portion of maharagwe. And I say a portion to mean very small, yeah, for this case. At the student center, the cheapest was 60 shillings, which was 2 chapatis and a portion again of maharagwe or beans. If you wanted chips, chips was at 50 shillings. When I went back to process my graduation in 2021, at the student center, the food had gone up to about 80 and 100, and at the students' canteen, the food had equally gone to 60 or something. So if you look at that, and this is a school that is very far from, say, Vibandaski, Kwamade, that is quite expensive for a student because you have to calculate, if a semester has 3 months, we're saying 4 weeks times 3 months is approximately 12 weeks. And in all these 12 weeks, if you have to have 2 meals, say you're not going to be luxurious to have 3 meals, you need, the least is 100 if you're having the meals in school. But if you have the meals in school and outside school, again, it will come to maybe 150. So if it is 150 times 5 times all that time, it will come to the scores of 3,000 or something. So you're already struggling to even get yourself to school. Hata fare una. Sasa leo tena ndo 150, it is not easy for university students. Initially, when we were having this conversation off record, I laughed about lacking 100. I was lucky to be a rich student. I was a rich student, me mwenyewe. Not that I am from a rich background, no. But because of a few things here, small talents, I didn't see the 50s, the 60s as anything to me. But I had students who could go a whole day. Inafika mahali sisi kama fellow students, we now just have to agree. We're buying that person lunch tomorrow.
Does that really happen? Ni ukweli, like watu unaweza kama pamoja waseme sasa yenyewe huyu jamaa tumwangalia penye nielekea huyu jamaa ataanguka.
I've personally bought lunch many times for a fellow student because kabisa isiponunuliwa leo, either kesho hata kuja na akikuja, there is no value being in class. You can't even concentrate.
So hizi memes tunaona ni ukweli.
It's true story.
Okay, sasa let me hear. Any other, which university?
Mount Kenya.
Mount Kenya. Pia nyinyi mnateseka huko. Nyinyi ndio watu mnakonga jiko ndio watu wa loyalty test. Ama inakonga ni MKU pia.
Yeah. So MKU is a private university, but yes. Pia tu sisi, like, basically we are a public university. Uwezi sema, yeah, there are levels to it. So me, I will kind of take a different approach. So personally, I have seen cases where for comrades, sisi kama comrades, like it's a matter of also prioritizing your expenses. Sometimes we have been in situations where you have a friend like mse hana 50 bob ya kukula, hana hiyo, so but ukiangalia mse amevaa viatu ya 6k, unaona mse amevaa kiatu ya 6k, uko na Jordans, uko na Air Force hapo hivyo. So na like if you try and look at it, you only need like 3,000 kwa hiyo mwezi, like it will sort out your food expenses kwa hiyo mwezi yote. So like there are those wenye wanaumia, like wanaumia hiyo genuinely, but there are those wenye wanaumia as a consequence of their own actions. So pia sisi kama comrades, like we should prioritize our expenses. Uwezi endea fashion uache tumbo yako, unaona? So like umepata umebuy jezi ya 3,000 ya Man U, lakini unalala njaa, unaona? So so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like unapata even those wenye wanaumia, like mse anavaa basic clothing, anakuja na sandals class, but unapata huyo mse they are not sleeping hungry, unaona? So like they are living within your means. So like that's the beauty of living within your means. Hauna hizi shida, like you have, yeah, like una survive basically. So like pia sisi kama comrades to prioritize our expenses.
I think these are some of the points which are very important pia ku note sometimes, ndio vitu kama hizi. Sasa unajua ile priority ni this common story you hear all the time. Unasikia sisi kama watu wa Chelsea, okay, the best team in the world right now of course, unasikia sisi kama watu wa Chelsea tumenunua Caicedo mamilioni ngapi, na sasa hizo uko kwa nyumba nyingine hata tujele, lakini mmenunua there's a time nimepata mabishano mengine kati ya watu wa Arsenal na watu wa Man U. Tuko na do, amna do, tuko na do, simnunue nani? By the end of the day, bro, uniokoleka chwani hapo bana nikula. Na si mmenunua tu mtu saizi 1 billion nini? Okay bro.
Well, for me, this is from a personal experience. I'm a mental health advocate, and I engage with many university students across the country, from Technical University of Mombasa, where I studied. Like in all these universities, there has been a rise in cases of suicidal cases, basically mental health. And I will support Chinyamesama, like young people, comrades, are living lavishly, kinda. And sometimes in Africa Point, ni kama there was a time pesa world coin ilikuwa imeflock everywhere, and when umepata 80 Gs umeball and everything, and then the government cuts off Worldcoin and the stream of income, and now you're left wondering. So it's also a challenge, because at one point we used to afford a meal, and then at a certain point you can't even afford that a meal. It's really devastating to the university students, and they are committing suicide because they're like, no one can listen to them. Personally, I remember when I was in Campo, you call your parents, you call your friends, you tell them like, I'm in really need of this money, and no one can believe you, because they are like kind of sure, 100% sure you've been living a flamboyant life in high school, in university. How comes you're missing this? So it's a reality. It's true that enyewa sawa na inama, and you need to respect that.
Walikuwa rafiki yangu leo niambie tupeleke match ya ICC. Rafiki yangu penye yuko najua naoja. Akaniambia tuamke asubuhi tupeleke macho. Each eye ni 7,000. Nikasema wewe okay. The world. Na kwanza I think watu wa university wanakonga capture na vitu kama hizi, ndio. Because ile tu point ametaja. I mean, ukiona ile frustration unapitia as a person, inafika tu point ukiambiwa wewe leta tu kitu yote tutupeleke. Then kukatokea na story fulani, watu wapeleke their toes. Unakumbuka tupeleke vidole Zimbabwe. And again kaona someone was mobilizing watu wa campus. Atukipeleka why surf and one toe is 430,000. Na unaweza itibu sijui na 10,000. Atiende ukate toe afu but you see these things might sound as jokes, but people are going through a lot. Let's come back to the community. Sam, mpitishe mic pale. Issue of food, because food can make someone do anything anyway.
Yeah, me I want to speak about something different, but also as a result of the impact of food prices. You know, it can be normal, or we've normalized when adults come to you and maybe because they don't have anything and ask for food from you. It's okay for an adult, but personally it breaks me when it's a kid, it's a child. This is something that I've experienced before, like not even let ago. Last week I met 2 siblings, like 7 and 8 years, who they approached me and they told me they have not eaten for 2 days. What they've been doing is just drinking water. You know, wanakunywa tu maji, but they don't have food. Literally at home, there is no food. So they just walk around and, you know, wanaweza end up being street children, going to, you know, chokora mapipa, going to garbages and just to find something to eat. So it really broke me, like kabisa. And I took the initiative, the little I had, kawapeleka kwa hoteli, and I bought to them something. But this is something very common, especially in ghettos, in informal settlement. Watoi hawana food. And that's why it is very common you will see these feeding programs where like some well-wishers organization will just cook food for the children. But that is not sustainable. Because you can imagine how watoi wajadishi siku mbili. So ni wangapi wako hapa mtaa, and you know like the food prices. It's not their fault, and also it's not the fault of their parents, because cost of living imepanda. Wazee wao maybe hawawezi afford food. So it totally breaks me ikifika kwa watoi. It's a different conversation, because you know children, they have a different, like the way their body is, they don't have immunity. They need food to give them strength and immunity. For like kama mimi, I can stay maybe for 3 days without eating, and probably I will still be okay, right? We all agree. But for a kid, it's you know, they end up being, is it malnourished or all sort of things? Yeah,
I know such are very painful things to hear. Ndio. I've also seen a case where nilipata mtoi alikuwa anataka kuchomwa because alikuwa ameibia mama fulani mandazi. I think alikuwa amekimbia akaiba mandazi pingwa zinapikwa. Nikajiuliza hiyo ni wizi ama ninja at that point. Because by the time mtoto amevaa uniform na hayuko shule, alafu akaenda akafanya nini? Akaiba mandazi. Guys, let's be honest. My bro, you're running for an office, and I know these are something which were really part of your heart. Sindio? A 10-year-old kid in school uniform walking around aenda akaibe mandazi. What do you think is kwa imefikisha mtoi to the point ya kuiba mandazi? Wewe kama boy umelelewa hii mtaa.
Think ni simply tu njaa. Unajua it's very simple. Ni njaa. Na njaa ni kitu mbaya juu inaweza kufanya kabisa wewe kwanza mwenyewe ujisahau. Na ukiona imefika hiyo level mpaka mtoto si muoga tena, it is serious. Imefika mahali sasa yeye sasa haogopi. You know me, hata nikiwa mdogo nikitaka hata kuiba kwa nyumba yetu. You see how you chota mchele and then funika carefully. Hiyo saa uko na uoga ndio kwa maana unataka hata urudishe hivi ikae bado inakaa iko even. But when worse went to worse, unaiba kabisa mpaka ujulikane uliiba. So I think for me hiyo ni njaa kabisa.
Mtoto njaa ndio kitu moja inanga aibu.
Hiyo ina aibu.
I mean, when you are hungry, you are hungry. Hunger can make people steal, hunger can make people kill, and hunger can make, which actually also want to throw this question to you. You are talking about sex for food.
Yeah. So first we had a project. I worked with Polycom Development Project in partnership with the Monday Trust, and we were doing a survey on sexual harassment in public spaces. And we found out that so many girls are sexually harassed or even asked for sexual favors at the water points. So unapata ameenda kuchota maji, and juu sasa hawana pesa, mama amemwambia either mwambie enda tu mwambie uchote hata mtungi 5, we will pay tomorrow. So because this guy knows that consistently you've been coming for water na hamjakuwa mkilipa deni zenyu vizuri, atakwambia we finish up the story, I just go twende na wewe, I have sex with you and you forget, and you'll be fetching water continually, you know. And
sex for water.
Yes. And now I'm taking a look at it now coming to inflation, and there is now food is a problem. I mean, when we were doing a pad drive huku chini Katwekera, there's a woman who found us, and she was drunk. That even the problems that you're going through, it even pushes like our parents. We are out here trying to fight early marriage. We are out here trying to fight for spaces for women. But still, even in that process and in that trial, there are those people who are still pushing their children to even have sex for them to have money. I'll give one scenario. We normally have things that are called contents that we read within the schools that we work with. And we found one student who wrote, Mama ameniambia leo silali kwa nyumba. that is how the content was reading. Leo silali kwa nyumba. And then we were just like, this is serious. When you continue reading, akasema, ameniambia, because haezi nilisha anymore, she's a class 8. That's a candidate. That's a potential student who wants to be a lawyer. A lawyer. We are letting go. Akasema, mama ameniambia leo usiku silali kwa nyumba. Hiyo impata kama ameshafukuzwa mara ngapi? Mara 2. Ameambiwa, so the mom makes arrangements with the boy. The boy also brings shopping kwa nyumba. Maybe atakuja na unga 2 na kasalad. You know, I mean, with the kind of conditions that we live in, that's a big deal. So umama anaona venye sizi lipa ukijana. So the best thing to do, because pia the guy wants the girl, you know, and this is a minor. Akampeana, akamwambia wewe, tuna make arrangements, atakuja kulala huko. Jioni nitamfukuza, atakosa mahali pa kulala. But because you are a family friend, you know that's how they come in. You are a family friend. Atafanya nini? Atakuja huko automatically to ask for a place to sleep, and that will be the solution to how we finish up this stuff. So just looking at that, I really feel sad, because then we look at our parents as people who will be supporting us, but they're actually the ones killing us to achieve our goals and our dreams as young people, because we cannot be able to afford a plate of food. Sayo Pondo, to be honest, people will sleep, wake up maybe amke later hours for them to be able to inama zingine zipite.
So Kitambo people used to have 3 meals in a day. Nowadays people are having 1 meal in 3 days.
Opondo 1 meal a day.
Once in every 3 days.
Two meals a day we unafanya kazi, we ni wash.
And that is how serious it is. But don't you think sometimes also when a parent unaika mtoto kwa hiyo situation, is it an extreme pia? Maybe as a parent, however tough things are, do you just do it hivyo tu amna kusema bado? Can we still justify that pia?
Before maybe respond to that, I just wanted to say something different, but in relation to this topic. I want to share a story, like a real story of something that happened in the community not long ago, like last year, as a result of the inflation. We all know saizi things are hard, watu wame lose job, nini. So kuna hao maboys kwa mtatu, like young men, youthful age 20 to 25 hapo, they stay together in one house, like 7 of them, they live in one house hapa tu Mtaani Kibra. So there's a time, because we are neighbors, there's a time I go to their place, we, kucheza ludo, blah blah blah, share stories. So there's this time I went there, I noticed one thing. You know this fish obambla? So mnajua hiyo bambla
or bambo, whichever way someone wants to call it.
So yani imefika mahali wamebai hiyo samaki obambla. What they do, the only thing they can afford to buy is tomato and maybe onion and unga. So because they have maize flour, they can make ugali, and then for that obambla, they recycle it for 1 week. Just use the soup peke. So like if they're preparing and they're having 1 meal a day, so when they wake up in the morning, they only drink water. These are 7 dudes living together, 7 guys living together. So they just drink water in the morning, no breakfast, nothing like breakfast. As my sister said,
this is a true story.
True story. I witnessed it.
Reflects what so many Kenyans are going through.
I witnessed it. As my sister has said, if you have like a proper breakfast, balanced diet, you're either into wash, like how can you afford it in such a times when things are difficult? So like I noticed it, like they just tomato, fry it with the same obambla, cook ugali, eat ugali with the soup, leave the obambla for another day, like that, till a time it reaches hadi obambla yenyewe inachoka.
Hata obambla sasa haina taste obambla anymore, ndio?
Inachoka. But you see
umetoa hata nutrients zote, hata protein hakuna sasa.
Unaona penye life imetufanya.
Yeah.
Because of the increase in food prices, things are becoming difficult, and we have so many other stories to share. These are stories that are not revealed outside there, but a lot of things are happening kwa mtaa.
And this again, mnakumbuka ile mimi nimekuwa ikigo round, comrade amevaa ile hoodie yake poa. Anasema ugali nyama ni how much? 150. Nipatie ugali na sufuria, ulipika nayo nyama ni teremshe na. It might sound as a joke, but I think sometimes inafika point maisha inaweza kufikisha hapo, si ndio? Ama nipatie tu ugali na kitu fulani ilibaki hivi. I totally understand it. Hebu kwanza to appreciate Ujama for bringing such kind of an interesting. Just to remind everyone mwenye ako hapo hivi, all this tunafanya in preparation of the People's Dialogue Festival coming in less than 2 weeks size. Actually in less than 2 weeks tutakuwa Nairobi University 6th to 9th. Na tunataka kila mtu akam because these are the kind of conversations tunataka to have pale in the honest way possible. Sisi tumechoka na conversations kwa TV where we have to sound with very perfect English na nini. Let's come and have this conversation with our leaders. There'll be politicians, kutakuwa na these other appointed leaders to sit in one place na let us make them know that this is what Kenyans are going on in a daily life. Sindio? Because these stories are serious. Asante sana.
Mi na feel hii wazazi kutuma watoto ni kitu nimeona
for food.
So nilikuwa na msichana alikuwa ananiangalilia mtoto, alikuwa na mimba, so nilikuwa nashinda nikimwambia utazaa, yes, but ukishazaa nataka urudi shule. So after kuzaa nikampeleka ushago kwao, nikajua kila kitu iko sawa. So mamake at first mamake ndo alimpush, akaenda akalala na kazini yake juu ya pesa. Mamaka akapewa pesa, yes. After kuzaa atakuwa amekaa like hata 1 month, tena akatafutiwa bwana. So as for now mamake amepewa mahari but ameolewa sahi. So pia wazazi ndio wana encourage watoto watoke tu ndio watafute pesa, which ni mzazi aendi kazi but anapush mtoto wake ende afanye ni kama like something like prostitution ndio ampe pesa na ni juu ya chakula. Obviously huwezi kaa kwenu au hakuna kitu tunaleta, umezaa hakuna chakula, mamako atakwambia wewe toka and utafute. Instead ya wewe kutoka itabidi sasa utoke uende ulewe tu.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the topics that the People's Dialogue Festival will be capturing this year is implementation of Article 43. Yenye tumekuwa tukidiscuss from community to community. We did the discussion about water in Kariobangi, tukafanya health in Kawangware, Buruburu. We are talking about how to make education, tunaongelea hapo hivyo relevant. And this is one topic tunataka sana pia to capture. Na mkikam, let us have this conversation. Sindio? So on the question of what to afford chakula, that article says that every citizen Kenyan akona right ya kukuwa na food of adequate quantity. Hapa tu ndani ya hii room, would like to tell us when it is said it is a right, what does it mean? When you say you have a right to school, you have a right to go to school, you have a right to do this, what does a right mean actually? Maybe for anyone, maybe mwenye na watch angetaka kujua a right inakuanga ni nini? Watetezi hapa ndani?
A right basically means like it's you have to have it, you ought to have it. Like it's not a debate on it's a must to have it. That's a right. It's not a privilege. Until now getting food becomes now a privilege. The way now we're speaking this conversation, we're realizing that slowly the right for having food is now a privilege, and it's written in the Constitution. It is your right to have not just food but adequate food. Yeah.
Okay. So that is what a right is, sindio? Tukisema that wa Kenya, yeah? You are entitled to it. So hatujali whether uko na kazi au una kazi, there should be a plan. Because I think countries kama US nimeona they even have like these special welfare places where people who cannot afford food, but at the end of the day kuna place unaenda na upate tu like the basics peke yake, then you come back home. Let me twist kitu kidogo tu nirushe tu Mawe police station. Hii mambo ya njaa na chakula ina affect both genders equally. Because kuna someone anakuwa ananiambia hapana, wanawake are more affected than men. Mtu akasema hapana, njaa ni njaa. Whether ni wanaume ama ni wanawake, ina affect kila mtu. Mtu ananiambia hapana, mwanaume anaweza vumilia. Najua hapo nimeguza wengi, lakini lazima tuongelee. Hapo sasa nimeguza ma president na kina nani. Aya sasa.
Hi, I'm Terry, and most of my life I work online mostly, so most of the things that I get to engage with in online.
Mnafinya computer dollar kwa mfuko, ndio?
Exactly. So most of the things that I get in touch with is more of online. So there's this day that I happened to, it was around 7 p.m. something, a video that was uploaded, and it's about actually sex for food. So there's this lady, they have already agreed with the man to meet. And they had not consented in terms of getting intimate. So when they met, this man offered to buy the lady the food. He bought the food around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, akakula. And then as much as they continued having the conversation, ikafika around 5, 6 p.m. So the man again bought the lady the food. And then around 7 p.m., ni time ya kwenda home, you know. So this lady ameita mtu wake wa nduthi aende wapi? Home. And then this man says, you're going nowhere. I just bought you food. Yeah, so you have to pay for the food. So it comes like a throwback. I say this, you say that. And the people around there were like, what's up? What's happening? You know, you're maybe standing beside a restaurant and people are passing in and out. So it can let a lot of commotion and people were drawing attention to it and watu wakamove close only to ask the man, mbona unapiga udem? And the man is like, I just bought her food and what I want is just to go home with her and have sex, you know? It was that clear, like he was saying that on camera. So I was like, okay, so you buying someone food because you want them to give you sex. So when I saw that, I felt so bad because I'm not in a position to help at that moment. What I can do is just comment, you know? And the comment that I'm putting there, people will come back to me at the end of the day. I'm a feminist and I don't apologize for that. But as much as we are saying that food is maybe something that maybe most people say that food is generally for children, maybe food insecurity is basically experienced by maybe women or children. It's something that cuts across because the man as well can lack food, the woman can lack food. But before you buy someone anything, just clear out the issue. Mwambie, I'm buying you this because I want this. Let them consent before they get into our case scenario.
Okay, sawa. Any take on this? Imambo ya gender na njaa na food?
Yeah, let me have my input. And these are just my ideas, right? It's not proven anywhere. But you've asked between the two genders, men and women, who needs food more. To my thinking, I think both of them, they all need food to fully function. But I think women need more. You know why? This is just my idea, not to be crucified. Because the biology of women and men is different. Like women undergo, some monthly, how do you call them? Menstruation, right? And during it's my thinking, I don't know. And, because of that, they lose blood. And, blood inatengenezwa na food, So akikosa food and she's undergoing that cycle of menstruation, you see, in a way, she's lacking some nutrients, blah, blah, blah. As compared to us men, we also need food, but our biology is different from theirs. So maybe we can survive than women probably. So mtu anataka kujifanya mimi.
Okay, sawa. Appreciate. Unajua, the best thing, this is a democratic space. Our partners in the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, ndio? So every opinion hapo hivi nakubalika. Bora tu wote tunaelimishana,
I have an opinion, equally my opinion.
Okay.
I want to pick it from where he's left because alianza vizuri on genders, but then I want to remember my biology. If I was to go back to my Form 2 biology, men have serious anger issues than women. Serious. And this is because of our physiology. Women are proven to have fat, which stores energy longer than muscles. And so men, because of their kimbia, rusha mawe hapa fanya nini, they get angry more because of that. And women are
angry ama hungry. Asira ama njaa.
Please, from where I come, I don't have the H.
Okay.
Sina H.
Hamna H penye mnatoka.
Kwenye natoka hakuna H. So hapa sasa tunaongelelea mambo ya tumbo, kwa hivyo ni njaa ya H. Wewe ukisikia tu angry ni hiyo. But basically nilichokuwa nakisema from that biology, basically because of that build up, women have a reserve of fat in their body that can sustain them longer than men who just flesh and muscles and bones. So inakuwa ni ngumu kwao. But I wanted to again take a different detour and go back to the conversation of food. And the direction I want now to take is the direction of what our leadership, and by this I mean our legislative wing or the executive wing and our judiciary, is taking to ensure that the enjoyment of this right, the right to food, is enjoyed by every Kenyan.
Tutakuja kwa hiyo part. Actually is the next segment.
Nataka nikuja hapo baadaye.
Nataka tukuja hapo baadaye. I want to pick two, then we break, then turudi sasa tumalize na hizo part za solutions sasa and what is happening here.
So regarding gender, so hapo my thinking is like from the conversations that we've just had, from the story yenye amepeana and the story yenye yeye amepeana, like wote tunahitaji, both men and women need food equally, but women wako more vulnerable in that someone might take advantage of their situation. So like unaona kama if you in a family we have tumesikia where mothers are trying to use their girls kupata like chakula, and just to use an example, even me going through campus, there are instances zenye I've called home kuomba pesa and I've been given a straight no, and at the same time tuko na my sister, she calls na anatumiwa pesa. Like, so like you even start wondering, kwani, do you have different parents? Ama have you just looked to yeah, but like girls are more vulnerable in that people might take advantage of their situation. So that's why I think when they are trying to bring up this conversation, they tend to lean more towards the girl side.
You know, I raised this question because kuna research flani ilifanywa on matters climate change and conservation. Then it was discovered women and children are the most affected. Reason ni nowadays producers wa chakula mostly ni hawa sasa, especially women at the countryside. Sasa ukienda most of our countryside unapata ni wanawake ndio unabaki kwa boma fighting pale na ile kitchen garden pale nini. By the end of the day, yes, a man participates, but unajua atatoka aenda akatafute job. So akirudi, so it is this woman who knows wakati mvua ijakuja. It is this woman who knows when patterns zimechange. Kama sasa hizi, I think even if you watch the interviews are being done across. Are you, by the way, sijui kama mko concerned, mvua imenyesha times zenye hainyeshangi, si ndio? In the country it says actually it is raining. Now farmers are worried. Time wataanza kupanda March and April, kutakuwa na mvua ama itakuwa na mvua, si ndio? Again hapo hivi the largest percentage of them tena ni wanawake. So that's why I was raising this question, just to see how we are able to link it, because again, if we go to the People's Dialogue Festival, the SDG tent, this is one of the places where, one of the topics that enda kuwa tackle ile kabisa. Wewe ndio ulinunua jezi ya 1000 ngapi alafu kwanza watu wa Man U wanasemanga nitumie ile original kutoka London.
So as in, ile kenye mimi naweza sema as in venye mwenzangu hapo hivi amesema hapo kwa boys, me as in from experience, ile ni reality. Nikiwa Raima nilikuwa naishi na stepmom na tulikuwa wawili na sister yangu. So ile yenye hapo hivi kwa food dada alikuwa anaweza provide, lakini kuna venye anataka kulenga zina anacheza hapo tu chini. So ila atapika kati tushaenda kudozi. So ile unapata
kama mshaenda kulala?
Yeah.
Your dad?
No, as in stepmom sasa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So ile unapata tumepiga shule imefungwa. Tunapiga karibu wiki bana, kitu hakuna usiku. So ile a day mimi nimeamka hivi hapo tu kwa landi ku stretch, nikaona blackout nikaanguka. Na tuko na sister yangu, mbona kuanguka? So azini ile yenyewe njaa kwa mwanaume si mchezo.
Inaweza kupeleka mbio, si ndio?
Inaweza kupeleka mbio.
But again also I think scientifically women wanaweza sustain wanaweza kaa in the tough times more than sisi, si ndio? That is a secret ya kubishania. Actually what a man can do nowadays, they say what a man can do a woman has already done before. Na hata matime hatujui. Haya sasa, tukipeana hiyo point sasa tukisimama kidogo.
Jamani.
Simama tu tukipeana hii point, nataka huyu jamaa tuongoze kwa some energy kidogo tusimame tafadhali.
First, I think alikuwa amekataa hiyo statement what a man can do, a woman can do better. Please, hebu make a stand. You're confusing us. You're confusing us. But as statistics stands, it's very clear and very evident that the women get affected more, the women and the children get affected more, unlike men. Because even looking at the context of how we are raised up, like who spends most of the time with you at home? Within the home setup. So you find if we are not having food security and it's being catered for at the home setup, then it automatically affects the woman and the children. So for me personally, I think it is good to empower both of us economically and look at it in the aspect, I will still lead to the women.
I knew shida tuendelee.
No, honestly, with open statistics, Opondo, you even said it, with the climate change and with the climate everything, like the women get affected more. Even looking at just not at the country level, but even at the African space, you find even the global conversation, it's still the same. When we trickle it down, it still comes to the women and the children. They're the ones that get affected more. So let us also take care of our women. We are not saying men, we love you. Hey, you are important. You are very important.
But tafadhali mwanaume akiwa shule kwa wazazi wenye na watch, mwanaume akiwa shule na kupigie simu akwambie nimelemewa nitumie 20 bob. Baki tafadhali ukiwa nayo mtumie.
Alafu Opondo, let us be champions.
Alianguka kwa sababu yake. Wanaume waongee na tena pia akiongea tena ni shida nyingine, si ndio?
Opondo, and I think we are also part of the influence where we find that let us encourage our fellow youths when we are having these conversations. You find that kuna mtu tu mahali wants to take advantage of someone, but when you send that money to a lady, also affirm them. Affirm them and tell them when someone is assisting you, you don't need to get something in return. You are assisting out of an open heart. And also having those conversations with the boys. And boys are not creating safe space for themselves. Let me tell you, Opondo. Trust you me, today if a man comes and say, mwanamke alimuheartbreak, I swear to God, they will all laugh. Honestly, they will laugh. But for us,
we are laughing because we unasema sasa tutacheka sawa. Okay,
yes. So I think that is my point.
Yeah. Okay, sasa. Unajua raise very important points hapa hivi. Issues of like sex for food, child prostitution, poverty, high cost of food, lack of jobs na vitu zingine. Before we get into the solutions, because we said Gumzo Mtaani are not just a place where we come, complain and go. Sindio? I think there are solutions we can recommend hapa hivi to sisi wenyewe kwa wenyewe. There are solutions we can even ask the leaders if these voices itawafikia wajue vile tutafanya. But before that, bro, tupatie energy kidogo hapa hivi. Kidogo tu tuone sasa kama tutakuwa na hizi solutions.
Tunakumbuka lengo letu. Lakini sasa tuende na side pale. Sio? Chingani. Kenya. Chingani. Kenya. Chingani. Kenya. Tukufe. Chingani. Kenya.
Tukufe njaa. So for that reason, nataka tujue at some point we have solutions kwa mikono yetu, si ndio? Yeah, so some of these things yenye tunaongelea around discussions ziko pale, now we have these solutions. The best thing that there are spaces now to discuss these solutions. Kumbuka tu, we are all talking about the People's Dialogue Festival. Ina happen when? Nione sasa hizi maybe mtu mmoja pia invite watu hapa. Nimechoka na kuinvite watu. Nani anajua inafanyika when na ni wapi? Mtu mmoja mwenye kushua kabisa. Ushai come before? Utakuja. shika microphone sasa. Na ukikuja ulete hizo shida na hizo solutions pale, sawa?
Okay. Hello guys, this is Donald Israel, and I'm inviting you to the People's Dialogues Festival. It's going to happen at the Nairobi University from 6th to 9th of March. And so don't fail to attend. Tell a friend to tell a friend to come. Yeah.
Tell a friend to tell an ex and a girlfriend and of the ex. What?
Yeah, for it.
Yeah.
Tag your family.
Tag your family, sindio?
Yeah, sure.
Kila mtu akuje pale na si ni kitu watoto, vijana, wa mama, wa baba, kila mtu ako pale. Last time nilikuwa challenge ni invite watu in my own language. Hapa hivi niko sure kuna different languages. Some few seconds. Who can give it a try? I know kuna Wajaka, kuna Wakamba. Would like to invite watu with their own language hapa. Nisikie mabontao sasa. Hebu tusikie mabontao. Hebu tusikie. A friend of mine aliongea Kikamba lakini nilidoubt hiyo Kikamba kama ni ukweli. Unaweza jaribu? Kuna mtu alinvite watu na Kikamba. Just some few seconds. Ni invite watu to the People's Dialogue Festival March 6th to March 9th Nairobi University Graduation Square.
Okay. Sio nanye ni odhuni ndo ndini posta festival ila kama tuko danda matuko paya Nairobi University kana University of Nairobi in mweleta ku nene maundwala tusu die akana ndwala anapa ni yito.
Kwani Kikamba pia inakaa kama Kikuyu? Unajua nishasikia Wakikuyu wanaweza ongea bila consonants. Wanaongea na vowels peke yake na wanaenjoy conversation. Unasikia tu ni alafu wanacheka. Unashindwa wanacheka. Vowels peke yake na communication inafanyika, si ndio? Someone else? Do we have Luyas in the room? Hapana, wewe ni Mturkana. You're Turkana? Ujui language yako? Okay. Do we have Luya? Uwezi ongea Kiluya. Okay. Anyone would like to try Luya? Shama handi ha? Nani? Ni gani hiyo?
Kinubi.
Haya, jaribu.
Sawa.
Sema tuna Kiganda.
Asmatai Junior anaju aliketa kum yom min sharta talata min tarik 6 ladi tarik 9 fi mjadala abikuni na ta anaskulu tabelede mata kumkosa.
Nimesikia tu ashodede. Hey, sawa. Another language because najua the national language hii community vizuri. So sitaki kuja hapo kwanza. Wengine kwanza Kiswahili? Unataka kujaribu Kiswahili, sawa. Kiswahili sanifu, si ndio? Haya, sawa.
Hamjambo na karibu katika mjadala wa People's Dialogue itakayofanyika mwezi Machi mwezi huu katika chuo kikuu cha Nairobi, na mnakaribishwa wote mje mtoe maoni yenu kuhusiana na masuala ambayo yanakumba jamii kwa pamoja, na mje na marafiki zenu pamoja na wale ambao mnajua kwamba mjadala huu unawahusu. Mje wote. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana, appreciate. Tumalize na watu wa Embarambamba. Jamani ruka juu akiruka chini yote. Kisi. Unajua I tried doing this, then when recording I said Arwa ku Echenro Makende. Then my friend of mine started laughing. Why does Luo sound that funny? Makende means special. Ideally, that's what it means. Sindio, yani a special session. But then someone was saying, "Ay, hapana, unatutusi." Our language is sawa. Do it for us.
Hi. Kuna Mkisi hapa?
Ndio confirm kama unasema. Aya, sawa.
Naki. Na asa Mario Tangoro kumora na bariga nirmwensi ase umukutano gocha koba koru umutenyo gatatu chitariki 6 mpaka chitariki 9 chomutenyo gatatu Ariese University ya Nairobi. ekerenga kio mukutano yo kego chakoba igoro ya People's Dialogue Festival togocha gukwanira igoro y'ebintu biri bya to affect into ba Kenya na in terms of security food insecurity whatever sorry
one from the community Luo South Nyang because they live western say South Nyang Nyanza Gori homa yetu na kwa ndio angalia tu hapo watakupata
Anyikram kuitrom bag embal marnobi okay nyikwara na mogi orwaku chenro mobagno embalariany mar Nairobi tarik 8 nyaka tarik 6 nyaka tarik 8 e boma mar Nairobi mar golo paro gi gimoro amora mineno marache kaka ngima dhi gi kaka wanya konyo orwaku te erouru kamano.
All right, sawa. Si tujipigie makofi sisi wote, tujipigie makofi sisi wote. Have we left any community outside? Any community? Oh, Luya. Love for our friend from Uganda, bwana. Unataka kukaribisha watu Derek? Unataka watu wa Uganda wakuwe Kenya?
Karibu bosi hu the People's Dialogue Festival ile khore tarehe 6 mpaka tarehe 9 mskuli ya Nairobi University amba khwakane nende viongozi vefu khulakaye kuhusu mahuva kahunyasi anga khumatala kef. Asante.
Kwani Kiluya lazima ikuange na hunyazi na huwazi. Hiyo hunyazi na huwazi inakuanga ni nini? All right, so let's get to the solutions straight away. The questions that, some of the issues that have come up, issues to do with like sex for food, child prostitution, as I mentioned, the poverty levels actually causing all these problems. We've talked about the high cost of food, forcing Kenyans to do some crazy things, lack of jobs, definitely, and unemployment, because it has been a very big issue. What do you think we can do in the next 15 minutes through chap tukimalizia sasa? What are some of the things that you can recommend that we should do to address some of these issues? The things that you think we can challenge ourselves to do, and also the other thing that we can challenge the authorities to do. Let me see by show of hands. I want to see wale wenye wako na solutions wote. Solution. Okay, solution. Solution hujasikia shida? Au ulikuwa hapa tukisema hizo shida sawa?
Hello everyone, my name is Derek. It's a privilege to be here to be part of this conversation. I think our key solution is, one, we cannot lose the fact that this nation needs us more than any other thing. And we have to be aware of that chapter 1 of the Constitution, that we are the people of this nation and we have the power to rule this nation and to decide what we want for our country. So I think one of the most common things that happens is young people especially don't want to participate in conversations about governance. If this was a conversation about how to be a social media influencer or to be able to open a fund-only account, this person will be filled with many other things. But when it comes to the conversation about governance, most of us shy away from it. So I think one of the most active things we can do today is, can we be active when it comes to matters to do with being citizens who are responsible to matters to do with governance? By being responsible is, how do we elect our leaders? Today we cannot elect a man who has no track record and then we expect them to transform over.
So the first step is, are we electing the right leaders into offices who can be able to push forth for agendas of the people? Number two is, we are so fond of blaming anyone except ourselves. I believe a human being needs to be hungry for him to eat or for her to eat. I don't think we need money necessarily for us to eat. We have neighbors, we have friends. In case somebody is in need, we can always come together and support them to ensure that life moves on. But we have embraced a world of where it's me and then me against every other person. We don't want to care about the needs of other people. For example, if there's a garbage outside this place, the first thing we'll do is we'll take a picture and then share it on Twitter and say, who is the MCA of this region, or who is the MP of this constituency? But the question is, what can you do at that particular point to stop that space from looking the way it is looking? The other question is, what is your contribution to the issue of accessibility to food and other commodities in our country? What role are you playing as a citizen to ensure these things are available? So for me, the biggest thing we can do for us as a country and people of Kibra is, number one, to be able to be responsible citizens, and also to avoid this idea of always complaining and complaining. All of us, whether you live in Kibera, whether you live in Pipeline or, sorry, not Pipeline, whether you live in Kileleshwa, you always go through these challenges. So I think we need to be able to come out of our cocoons and stop always seeing ourselves as victims that I need to do this in order for me to eat. There is something beyond what we are going through that can enable our country to move forward to the next level. Thank you.
Appreciate. Before urudishe microphone. Hii kakun inakuanga nini? Ni kakun, mara we are in a state of lacuna, mara hizi language zinakuanga nini bwana? Unajua kuna mtu anaocha na anashangaa tunaongea lugha gani? What is a kakun?
It is, asa njaribu na Kiswahili, it's kukua in a place uko comfortable.
Oh, okay.
And then you don't want to put effort, you know? And that is sometimes I feel something that affects, especially within my community in Kibra, that there have been so many organizations available to us that we have become comfortable to become victims of our own circumstances, that we don't want to push beyond what we have been given. And so it's always about complaining without pushing ourselves outside to try something and to be able to be productive beyond what we have been given.
Hiyo itaguza watu wengi, lakini ni sawa. Appreciate hapa. Sawa. Kimberly Nyar Alego Nyasiaya.
So one of the solutions, number one, is this. We need to actually understand what role our leaders play in actually actualizing that we have the adequate food that we need. And it goes back straight to the campaign period where they always have this huge manifesto, during 99 or how many pages. Do we take time to actually see what this government will actually do for us when we elect them? We're usually so mediocre in terms of we want the basic things, like when we were in Buruburu. I told the young people there, why is it that all the time when a politician comes to a rally, they always tell us the same nini things, ati tutawapatia kazi. No politician has a job to give you. They're also looking for jobs. That's why they are here to campaign. They're actually, we're the ones interviewing them because they are coming to the ground to look for jobs from us. So why do you give someone a job when you hata fulfill what they ought to fulfill? That's also something. And then this whole conversation about climate change. Climate change has not hit Africa the way it has hit the West. By the way, it has not hit us properly. I think it all goes back to planning. We don't plan. We don't have a plan. Like unapata there's some areas where sijui kumekuwa na floods, sijui kuna nini. Ukiangalia vizuri, areas that are flooded, there were no places where they can actually harvest that water. There was akukwa na kitu kama hiyo. Why don't we actually have a solid plan to enable us to actually beat this? Because food, atufai kwa tunaongelelea mambo ya chakula in 2024, honestly. We're in Africa. People in the West can, if we don't produce here in Africa, those guys will not survive a day. They will actually die. But us, we have the food, we have the resources, we have everything. It's the same thing Uganda, this minister was telling them. When you're complaining at 2,000 people are dying of hunger in Uganda, they are just lazy. Because how are you dying of hunger in Uganda? And also something that Museveni prides himself with, he told the West when they started removing those funds because of that law that they had about the LGBTQ and everything. He said, number one, I will feed my people. I have the enough resources to actually feed the people in Uganda. But then when you look at it vizuri, what is the plan? We don't have a plan. So sai tunapata farmers are complaining ati tumepanda, mvua haijakuja. If we had actually harvested that water, hatungewahi kuwa na topic ati tunakosa chakula. Look at countries like Egypt. Egypt is a desert, but we actually import apples and oranges from countries in Egypt, Israel. Those places are deserts. But why can't we look at how they are doing their things? Because then they rarely get water. As we have times where kuna mvua. But still, it goes back to we as a country, we are not planned. Hatuna plan at all. And it will continue like this till like 2030 bado tuna ninio vision 2030 na bado tunaongelelea mambo ya chakula. We need to start asking these leaders to give us a solid plan on how we are going to mitigate this.
Okay. To appreciate. Amesema points poa, lakini kuna point moja hapo hivyo we have to live and prove her wrong. Sindio? Purpose hizi dialogue ni so that you 2030 tusiwahi fika na hizi complaints. Sindio? So even as an raise your point, najua point najaribu kusema, but let these dialogues by time zikuwe reason as to why later on 1 year tunaweza rudi hapa tuseme tulikanga kwa hii sitting na tukasema hivi, sawa? And also as we propose these solutions, pia tulete these solutions back home kidogo. Tuone mtu wa kawaida anaweza implement gani.
For me, I will use an example of where I grew up back in Kakamega. So like where I come from, you have your homestead. If you leave the doorstep, you walk like 5 steps, the next thing you see is a sugarcane plantation. Like everyone is planting sugarcane where I come from. So sugarcane, it takes around 14 months to mature. So during these 14 months, like someone has like 10 acres of land, but anatumia yote kupanda like sugarcane. So watu hawapandi mboga, watu hawapandi nyanya, watu hawapandi vitungu. Like people are not planting vitu zenye wanaweza tumia for daily consumption. So at the end of the day, unapata this person still has to go to the market to buy chakula yenye anafaa kukula. So the supply, instead of now the supply catering for watu wenye they can't produce, so supply iko na demand both in the rural areas na pia huku in the cities. So like venye hiyo supply iko hivyo because the demand is everywhere, so ndio unapata hii issues now to do with overpricing ya chakula. So I think we should really have a conversation where we now get to encourage the people in the rural areas to base more on food production yenye wanaweza tumia for daily consumption. Yeah. So they don't have now to kuendelea na the stress of now going to the market to buy chakula daily.
I hear your point. One of the points tumpigie makofi. Tumekuwa tukiongelewa mambo ya diversification, si ndio? Maybe kama mko ukipanda mmea fulani and is not doing well, jaribu ingine na panda zingine. If something is taking 14 months and maybe in a market, can we try other things? Asante sana for that point, bro.
Thank you very much, Opondo. So once again, I am Musila John Muisio, and we are seated right here at the Art of Kibera, where politics is always strife and where the life of politics lives. And so this is where that population that is mobilized heavily by politicians is living and affected by most of the challenges. And we're seated at such a time to ask our leadership into order. When I was in class 6-7, I was taught the 3 arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And one of the key constants was these are independent arms, but interdependently working to serve the interest of Kenyans. We have a very beautiful constitution that can only and must be protected inside parliament. The executive implements laws as defined by parliament, as interpreted by the judiciary when there are questions to these laws. When it comes to matters affecting the lives of Kenyans, which again enjoy their rights as given in the Constitution, and one of the biggest rights we're talking about is the right to social, economic, and cultural enjoyment, which is the right of health, the right of education, the right to food, the right to clean water, and many such things. We are asking the legislature today to not be the voice of the executive, but to be an independent voice that protects the enjoyment of this right by the common person. One thing I can say confidently without fear is the president does not care about Kenyans today. He does not care about you MPs, and that is why he is even coercing you. Mpende, msipende, mtapitisha. But we did not vote you for mpende, msipende, Mr. President. We voted you MPs to go and protect us. And we are asking you, as you discuss the next finance bill, consider reducing the taxations on basic commodities. We are asking you to consider reducing taxation so that we can have money in circulation. When I was growing up, and nowadays I don't hear it often, we used to be told, nisikupate umekula kwa jirani. Nowadays, even kwa jirani hakuna chakula, so there is no point ya kukuambia nisikupate umekula kwa jirani. money was enough in circulation for everyone to feed themselves. You could pick 10, 5 shillings on the streets every day. Now that it is not available, it is made life more unbearable. So we're asking the government to reduce on taxation, put more money on people's pocket, allow these people to spend their money, and when it goes back to that circulation, the economy is built and everyone thrives and enjoys. My emphasis is my MP, Mwalimu Orero. I didn't vote you for Raila, and neither did I vote you for Ruto. I voted you to protect my interest. Go to parliament, debate, and vote on things that protect me. When you miss that session of voting, you do not vote for no. You abscond and you're not playing your responsibility. We want to see you playing your roles. Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you. Madam President.
After powerful talking, what do I say? Mine is to go back to the individuals. And how many of us go for public participations? How many of us go for public participations? It's not even a handful of those who are in here. Then it means we are missing the mark. Then it means we are addressing issues, but we are not tabling them in the right places. If you look at the County Integrated Development Plan, it is, it was CIDP in short, it is a plan for the government for the next 5 years. So if we are here speaking about food security, and it's not in the CIDP in the next 5 years, then are we in the right place? Are we channeling our advocacy in the right place? We are missing some spots. So it is us for the young people to always be in the lookout. Always be in the lookout. I know we've given up with the government. I know it is a corrupt system, but still there is always something that we can do in our own capacity. If there is a public participation, just go there. I know the documents are never given out willingly, but ask for that document and get to look at it. It's a very bulky document, but when you look at it, you find your interest as a young person. Then you find a place where you can voice out and say, you have put a budget of this and that in this specific place. I feel that is not our priority. Our priority is on food security because of 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And then when they listen and they get to know that the young people are on the lookout on some of the issues that are affecting us, then it brings a different impression to the government that young people are not just here to rubber stamp. We are just not in this country to be people who are flowers or to be recognized in meetings and to be told the young people were present, but they actually meaningfully participated in the public participation. So that is at an individual level. Because then when we are voicing out issues and we're not putting it in the right place, then we miss the mark and no one will listen to us and no one will act on some of the issues that are affecting us as young people. And another thing is, the implementation of policies in this country. We have the most beautiful policies in this country, to be honest. Looking at from our legislative council, looking at what the law says, looking at our constitution, we are one of the best. And this, a friend of mine from Uganda actually reckoned and say, we are one of the best. We have one of the best policies in this country. But look at the implementation processes. They are poor. They are a zero. What do you converse when you meet with your MP? Are you MP or nitole? What conversations are we having, even in our own spheres or in our own bases where we sit with the young people? What conversations are we having? So I think it's time to make a shift, even from us, the conversations we have, the places that we table our issues, and even how we act on them. I think that matters. So that is some of the solutions that I would love to speak about. Thank you.
Asante, to appreciate Madam President. Briefly straight to the point, kama imesha semwa na mtu usirudie.
Mine is just to remind us that we are in one of the most blessed country, Kenya, and it's our motherland. Our motherland has the ability to like rejuvenate itself, even if it's in terms of soil and finding the nutrients that are required to like grow whatever that we want to grow. She just mentioned about Egypt and Israel. They're really doing good in terms of agriculture, and there's some desert areas. We are privileged to be in this beautiful land. Let's capitalize on what we have. The Western are coming back with the idea of organic farming. It's not something new to us. It's something that we've been doing. What's the government doing? We have a whole Ministry of Agriculture. What are you doing as the ministry? What are you doing? Because that's our basis. Because we as the motherland, we expect the motherland to feed us, all right? And when it fails to do that, and then that means we are not doing good to the justice to our motherland. So a call to action to everyone in the ministry, from the lowest person in the ministry to the uppest person in the ministry. Kindly, let's hold each other accountable. When it comes to like vouching for maybe fertilizer, vouching for seedlings that we'll have to use in terms of planting our vegetables, our food, let's be kind of fair, because right now we are using a lot of chemicalized things and they're also affecting our health. And initially we were using very organic things, you know? So let's go back and see where the rain started beating us as a country, because our motherland is a treasure. Most people are coming back, like African Americans, they're coming back here to do something that we can do as Kenyans. Africans are coming back saying that this is something that you should treasure, and we are actually spitting on our land. That's not fair, you know? We have to retrieve and give justice to our motherland. That's a call to action to everyone in the country.
Okay, makofi kwake, asante sana. And I think that is a very good one, because the government has kept on reminding young people there's money in the soil, there's money in agriculture, but now the policies, how are these things implemented, access to land and capital, na hizi vitu zingine zote, sindio? Also the point that people are now coming back to the continent, and why must we be begging? Why are we asking for food outside while we have the capability to produce food enough for the country? Research indicates that Kitale alone can produce maize enough for the whole country. Sindio? That one alone. Why are Kenyans sleeping hungry? Hakuna chakula. Mbona unga ya kupika ugali imepanda hivi? Mbona unga ngano imepanda hivi and we used to produce wheat? Sindio? So I think those are very pertinent questions to raise. Straight to you. Quick, straight to the point.
Of course, mafuta. Subsidizing fertilizer, and yet it can't translate to the granaries in the terms of the productivity still low. You see that the food prices are skyrocketing simply because of the high fuel prices. So of course, we just have to ask the government. Of course, we will take responsibility to what we can do. If it's urban farming, but here these are concrete jungle. But when it comes to now fuel, it has to be regulated by the Energy Regulatory Authority. So for us, it's just to ask the government, of course, to cut down the cost of fuel and not to subsidize fertilizers on the other hand, just to please the few farmers, and the nation here is going hungry. A hungry nation is a weak nation, and a weak nation is a dying nation. Cut down the cost of fuel to reduce the food prices. Thank you.
Okay, for me, I will go back to our national anthem. Tuungane sote pamoja kazini na tuijenge nchi yetu pamoja. And
sema hiyo sasa kwa sauti vizuri, at least tujue that we also have a role to play, ndio?
Yeah.
Sema, rudia hiyo part.
Tuungane sote kazini, tuijenge nchi yetu pamoja. I really believe in that statement. Maybe if I skip a little bit and go back to the scriptures, my people perish in lack of knowledge. But here we have a country that people are perishing in lack of porridge. So let's go back to the knowledge. Yeah. My apologies.
Kitu ni poet. People are perishing because of lack of porridge.
My people perish in lack of knowledge. That's what Jesus said. Mm-hmm. But we're having this conversation with people don't have food, basically. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to the knowledge and it will solve everything. Basically, we need to be industrialized. Like she said, if Egypt can farm, then we can also put farms in Turkana because there's a huge waterbed in Turkana. And also we need to industrialize ourselves, because at the end of the day, this farmer, as he farms his food, he won't give us for free. We will need to give value for it. So at the end of the day, we need to industrialize ourselves and create jobs amongst ourselves. And I believe if Moi Kibaki, these two presidents that I'm in love with, one of them being Moi Kibaki, he was the best economist ever. At his time, people never struggled with this economy. And he left us a vision that is Vision 2030. And giving us this Vision 2030, it was all centered on industrialization. Young people coming together, building up industries that will create an economy where money will be circulating amongst ourselves. And now it's gone, but we've left the vision hanging. We have Uhuru Kenyatta. In his 10-year time, he introduced the self-help groups and the CBOs initiative. So basically, the self-help groups is bringing us back to our national anthem, penye nilisema tuungane sote pamoja. If we come like 10 people and come up with a self-help group, build an industry, simple industry, like people making millions out of wafer, people are making millions out of just soap, people are making millions out of toothpicks. We can build an industry that's based on soap production. And even if our market doesn't, is flooded with such products, we can always import them. The country, I believe, has done enough in building facilities or putting initiatives that can also export our products and market them outside there. So let's not waste too much time scratching the back of our politicians and stuff, but let's come together and do this. When we do this, they won't beat us, they will join us. Thank you.
Asante sana. There was a hand pale. Tukimalizi. Sawa. Straight to the point, alafu malize.
Okay. There is a famous say that we always say that kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa taifa hili letu la Kenya, sio? So if kilimo ni uti wa mgongo, to my view, to my point of view is that basi hata mgongo wenyewe umevunjika. Najua tumechoshwa kusema kwamba kuna bei ya chakula imepanda, tunawekewa kwenye mabega mitulinga imevunjika. To me, I want to tell us that we should embrace urban farming. You know, like right now we don't need to utilize the, space horizontally. We can utilize space vertically as well in agriculture. The same way buildings are going up, agriculture can as well go up. For example, this space can, the fences can be used as hanging gardens. You use things that are within us, plastics and all that. We put hanging gardens, sack gardens, and we produce food on our own. It's not a must that we wait for food to come from Kitale or whichever place in Kenya. It is just upon us to think smart and be smart in terms of agriculture. The way we are being smart in technology, implementing softwares here and there, we can as well do much in implementing good things in agriculture and have smart agriculture. And we will all vote come 2027. But kuna ile kitu huwa nasema that mwivikeba na mnyaka kanyakua. Yule politician, when he comes, we will all give him what he wants, ndio? And then he goes there and he keeps quiet. You get? Atakuwa amenyakua kile ambacho sisi wenyewe tulikuwa tunataka na hajaweza ku raise that concern. So it is just upon us to be smart. We should not vote with our stomach. We should vote with our mind.
Asante sana, appreciate tukimaliza naye pale.
When I say organize, you say organize to take power. Organize.
Organize to take power.
Organize
to take power.
Thank you so much. The reason why I'm saying we need to organize ourselves to take power, especially as young people, because we are the backbone of our society. If you look at the population of Kenya, young people makes up to how many percentage? I think 70% of the entire population of Kenya is young people.
So basically, what does that tell us? We have numbers, but we need to be united. We need to have patriotism. I like what we're doing in the morning, like the reflection I was getting from the beginning when we were singing the different anthems. All those anthems had an element of, calling for nationalism, patriotism. And that is what has built many countries. If you look at the history of the world, I'm a historian, I like history a lot. China, India,
if you read the books so well, there's a problem. Both countries were, like, in terms of development, they were underdeveloped, but they used to sing those songs that we were singing in the morning, the anthem and everything, and hard work and unity. That's how China reached where they are right now. So we as young people here, as a solution to all these problems that we experiencing right now, one, it's important to unite ourselves. Two, it is important to love our country. And another thing that is very key, which has been alluded by everyone here, is we need to push ourselves into understanding the instruments that we have as a country, the system that we have in our country. What are these? The conversation that, like, right now we are having. We have the element of public participation. We have, everything, the constitutions that have given us. Tusipoteze tu time to other things, like my brother was saying, TikTok, social media, fashion. That is where you'll find young people. It is very important for us to do that. We are still young. We want to look good. We want to be on the limelight. But again, we cannot be there, and yet our country is rotting. We also have a responsibility to build our country. We have to push ourselves to understand these systems. Unavile tumekama hapa hivi leo, utajua, by the way, kumbe mahindi imepanda kwa sababu ya so and so, and kumbe I have power to sit with the leader, to go to a CIDP meetings, to give my views and priority as a young person living in Kenya. We have to push ourselves. Most of the time utapata a slight number of young people are the ones in the front line trying to advocate for issues that are affecting our country. But the rest of the young people, bado we are slagging behind. We are lagging behind. Tunataka tukufanya vitu zingine, which I think is crucial at this point. What is at stake right now is the situation we are living as our country. So lazima wa vijana tujipush mbele. Lazima tuone hii nchi yetu tunataka kuipeleka wapi. Kama viongozi wetu wamefail, wazazi wetu wamefail, do we also want to fail the next generation? Tunataka kuwa fail pia. Tunataka maisha izidi kuwa ngumu na ngumu na ngumu to the coming generation. Watatulaumu sisi. So we have a role to play, young people. You know the best solution. Tuko interested na mambo ya governance, mambo ya leadership. Tuingie kwa leadership. Pigia vijana kura, so as long as ako na progressive na tu support vijana na tuulize hizi maswali zote, then hapo ndo tutakuwa tuna help Kenya yetu. So hizi conversation hazifai kuisha hapa. We need to escalate this conversation to even higher level and ensure that more young. I like the fact that it's on social media where you meet young people. Like right now they're viewing. I'm hoping our view vitu za nyako na akode. These are the the perfect thing that young people are supposed to follow, because deliberate efforts are being put in place by the system to deviate the attention of young people from such conversation. It's deliberate. Easy vitu za kina za ujinga zinaapa. It's deliberate because they know the power that young people have if we are united, if we are patriotic, and we have one common goal, which is to build a better Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Right. Next time mkitunadu kwa screen zenyu tukisema tap the screen tap, mnajua sana we are tapping for the right reasons, ndio? Sindio? Now we are tapping for governance discussions. Manza asanteni sana. Hebu tuju appreciate kwanza. They used to say that everything starts and ends in Kibra. Every political discussion. Before Baba makes any serious announcement, huwa narudi hapa for consultation. Sindio? And it's because this community is so special. Historically, looking like Kibra is associated with a lot of things. Kibra, when we were still part of Langata, the second vice president of this country, Joseph Zuzati Murumbi, alikuwa MP hapa. Sindio? By association, I mean, we are so proud because Kibra ishaikuwa na mtu mwenye alikuwa vice president. Honorable Madai was the husband, actually the ex-husband to Wangare Madai. Alikuwa mbunge hapa. Sindio? That's also another very interesting thing. If you look at the Leakey's family, tunawasoma mosi kwa history, Leakey was the last white member of parliament in Kenya na alikuwa mbunge wa hapa, sindio? This constituency again pia tumekuwa na the former prime minister Raila Amolo Odinga. Saizi watu wamesema amezidi Kenya sasa, acha sasa cheze continental, sindio? Look at the kind of people that we are associating ourselves with. The voices that come from this community, manze. This is the last session tunafanya before PDF 2024. with this same energy, are we ready now to move to the PDF 2024? Najua tuko na njaa, but are we ready now? No, Kibra, are we ready? Nyinyi wenyewe mtakuja? Yeah, because now this is also an appeal, na vile mmefanya invitation to everyone. We're now taking this opportunity to invite every person from all walks of life. Yani whether uko Nairobi, uko wapi, bora tu unaweza fika Nairobi University, and it is free. From 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Na every day the best thing ni, every conversation inaisha na concert. Kuna na music, watu wana enjoy pale, discussion, a lot of food. Watu watakuwa nakula. And you never know, one day in future unasema pia, I met your mom, or I met your dad wapi? At the People's Dialogue Festival. Sindio? And that's why we don't fight in this house. We usually dialogue whenever we disagree. Sindio? Asanteni sana, tujipigie makofi tukisimama sasa, tuseme, patia turn to the person seated next to you. Mpatie hata high five, mwambie, it has been a tiresome long day, lakini, tuonane wapi? Kwanza tuambiane tuonane wapi next? Next tunaonana wapi? People's Dialogue Festival 2024 wapi? Hapana, atuandamani. Tunaona wapi next? Tunaona wapi next? I want to hear a big shout. Tunaona wapi next? People's Dialogue Festival. Wapi? Tarehe gani na tarehe gani? Unajua nimeona hizi sura zote. Usipokuja hiyo siku, mvua itanyesha kwenyu na utatoka kwa hiyo nyumba. Sasa heri utoke mapema, si ndio?